Nigeria has oil. Congo has diamonds. Zambia has copper. Niger has uranium. Guinea has more than half the world's known bauxite reserves. These are not poor countries because they lack resources. These are some of the most resource-rich territories on the entire planet. And yet, Nigeria has one of the highest poverty rates in the world. Congo is consistently ranked among the poorest nations in human history. Zambia has been in an IMF debt restructuring program. Niger cannot feed its own population. They have the resources, but not the wealth. And that should make you stop and ask one question: why? Because the answer they gave you in school, corruption, poor governance, lack of education, is not wrong, but it is not the full story. The full story is darker, more deliberate, more financially sophisticated, and it involves systems that are still running today, right now, as you watch this video. The resource curse, when gold makes you poorer. Let us start with what economists call the resource curse, or the paradox of plenty. The discovery that countries with abundant natural resources, oil, diamonds, minerals, consistently perform worse economically than countries with few resources. Nigeria discovered oil in 1965. In the following 35 years, oil revenue per capita increased tenfold. But income per capita barely moved. Poverty headcount ratios nearly tripled during the same period. The rich grabbed a larger share of everything. The average Nigerian got almost nothing from sitting on one of the world's most valuable reserves. How is that possible? Several mechanisms. First, resource extraction is controlled by multinational corporations from wealthy countries. The oil comes out of Nigerian soil, but the equipment to extract it is foreign-owned. The expertise to operate it is foreign. The ships that carry it are foreign-flagged. The insurance that covers it is underwritten in London. The legal structures governing it were drafted by firms in New York. By the time the oil has traveled from the ground to the international market, the overwhelming majority of the value has been captured by foreign entities. Nigeria receives royalties, a percentage, a fee. The wealth does not flow through the Nigerian economy. It flows through it briefly and then out. Second, the influx of resource revenue strengthens the local currency, which makes every other industry less competitive internationally. Nigerian manufacturers cannot compete on price when the naira is inflated by oil money. Agriculture shrinks, manufacturing shrinks, the diversified economy that would employ millions and generate broad-based prosperity withers, and you are left with a country entirely dependent on one commodity, vulnerable to every price swing in global oil markets, with no other economic foundation to fall back on. The currency trap, the story nobody tells. Now here is where it gets truly extraordinary, and where this story moves from economic theory into something that will genuinely anger you. 14 African nations are currently using a currency called the CFA Franc. Countries including Senegal, Mali, Burkina Faso, Cameroon, Gabon, Ivory Coast, Niger, and others. And here is what most people, including most people living in these countries, do not know about that currency. It was created in 1945, not by Africans, by the French government. And it was designed not as a neutral monetary tool, but as an administrative instrument to manage colonial economies in service of Paris. Here are its 4 main features, and why every single one of them functions as a financial trap. Feature 1. The exchange rate is fixed to the euro, meaning these 14 African countries cannot independently adjust their currency to respond to their own economic conditions. They have surrendered monetary sovereignty entirely. Feature 2. 50% of these countries' foreign exchange reserves must be deposited at the French Treasury in Paris, not in their own central banks, in Paris. As of 2024, the French Treasury is holding the financial reserves of independent African nations. Feature 3. The currency is freely convertible, meaning capital can flow out of these countries without restriction, and it does, constantly. Feature 4. Because they cannot control their currency, they cannot run expansionary monetary policy to invest in their own development. The result? 11 of the 15 nations currently using the CFA franc are classified by the United Nations as least developed countries. The wealthiest CFA nations, Ivory Coast, Cameroon, Gabon, have all experienced real-term economic decline over the past decades. A currency created during colonialism, still running, still extracting, still constraining. In 2025, This is not a historical footnote. This is an active financial mechanism operating right now. The debt trap, how poor countries are kept poor. Here is the third layer. When developing countries need money, where do they go? To the World Bank, the IMF, or increasingly, to Chinese development banks offering infrastructure loans. And here is how these loans work in practice. A country receives a loan, denominated in US dollars or euros, to build infrastructure. A port, a road, a dam. The terms of the loan come with conditions, called structural adjustment programs, or more recently, austerity conditions. These conditions typically require the borrowing country to cut government spending on social services, open their markets to foreign imports, privatize state-owned enterprises, and focus their economy on export production. What this means in practice is that the country must shrink the very programs, healthcare, education, local agriculture support, that would develop their domestic economy. To repay a loan denominated in foreign currency, they must earn foreign currency. To earn foreign currency, they must export raw materials. To export raw materials efficiently, they must keep wages low. And because wages are low, their domestic economy cannot grow. The loan that was supposed to develop the country locks it into the exact economic structure that prevents development. Countries spent an average of 34% of their government revenues on debt servicing in 2024. 34 cents of every government dollar gone to international creditors before a single school is built, a single hospital is funded, a single road is maintained. As of today, the total debt of developing nations is so large that the IMF itself has acknowledged it may be effectively unpayable. The financial lesson for your own life. Now here is why this matters to you, even if you have never set foot in Nigeria or Senegal or the Congo. Because the mechanisms that keep poor countries poor are not unique to nations. They operate at every level of the financial system, including in your own life. Mechanism 1, the resource trap. When you have one income stream and that stream gets disrupted, you have nothing to fall back on. No diversification, no alternative, just vulnerability. This is Nigeria's oil problem at an individual level. Mechanism 2, the currency trap. When you have no control over your own financial system, when all your decisions are made by an employer who controls your income, a landlord who controls your housing, a bank that controls your credit, you have surrendered financial sovereignty. Your life is denominated in someone else's currency. Mechanism 3, the debt trap. When you borrow at terms that require you to sacrifice long-term growth for short-term survival, you lock yourself into a cycle that is structurally designed to keep you where you are. Credit card debt that requires minimum payments, leaving nothing for investment. Student loans that consume the income that should be building assets. High-interest personal loans that solve a crisis and create a permanent condition. The solution at every level, individual, national, continental, is the same. Control your own resources. Diversify your income. Borrow only on terms that accelerate your growth rather than constrain it. And build enough sovereignty over your own financial life that no single entity, employer, bank, lender, or government can remove it without your consent. The countries that escaped the poverty trap did so by breaking exactly those 3 cycles. So can you. Subscribe. Because this channel shows you exactly how, every single week, drop a comment. Which of these 3 traps, resource, currency, or debt, do you see operating in your own financial life right now? Let's go.